The best iguana to ever iguana. Uh-oh.
Target acquired.
Let me wipe off my lenses. I need some focusing on this bad boy. All right, everybody. It's been a little while. We have a special guest in the reptile room today, and that means it is time for another reptile room tour here in November 2024. There has been a ton of changes in the room. Let's get your coffee going. I got mine over there, and let's get started on this reptile room tour. If you're new here, my name is Mike. I've been doing this for about 20 years now, and this reptile room houses about 125 reptiles. This is Bree photobombing in the background, my partner who I do this all with. That is the reason why we are able to keep this many reptiles. So let's take a tour of the entire reptile room, showing you all the reptiles that we have to offer, as well as some incredible babies, because it has been a great year in terms of hognoses and baby Tachydromus. Okay, and before we get too far into this reptile room tour, I did want to thank Reolink for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you check out Reolink in the link down below, but more about them a little bit later. What are you guys doing in the rack? Come on. We gotta get on with this reptile room tour. You guys know, if you're not new here, that I give you guys a little bit of a warning before every episode, because truly, I don't think it's for everybody to own this many reptiles. Honestly, the vast majority of people cannot reasonably take care of this many, but because it's Bree and I's passion, we do this basically full-time on the side of a full-time job. You know, make sure you're prepared, get animals very slowly, build them the most beautiful tanks as you possibly can, and from then on out, you can add from there. And if you didn't know why I said fetch your coffee, because this is basically a full pot of coffee, thank you, Yo-Yo, for the beautiful Yeti. If this is your first time here, the room is looking pretty good. There are definitely a few changes that I'd like to make that I'll explain throughout this video. We're gonna start off right off the bat with the beautiful 110-gallon enclosures that I custom built. If this is your first time here, you'll probably be seeing this for the first time, and probably this as well, but we'll talk about these a little bit later. Those are Bree's probably your favorites, right?
Yeah, but they stink.
They do stink. Both of these two vivariums, like I said, are 110 gallons. They are 33 inches by 22 inches by 33.5 inches tall, and they house Ufaga histrionica. This one houses Ufaga histrionica fuego. They are just out and calling. There's the male back there. Nope, he's gonna be a pain in the butt to film, so we'll move on to the female. But I also don't see her. Come on, guys. You guys are never this shy. That's unfortunate, but you know what is very fortunate is that we have a couple brand new little froglets coming out of the water. These guys came out probably between November 9th and November 12th. So they're pretty fresh. They're still in their axils of their bromeliads, and I will actually be trying something a little bit different with them. I'm gonna be putting them in this bin here, so they will be able to be raised separate from the parents. I've tried a batch with the parents, now I wanna try a batch without the parents, and we'll see what the consensus is and see which I like doing more. If you guys are curious how I built this tank, I do have a video on my channel going through the entire process, and I actually did film one for this tank here, but I was waiting for these guys to be moved in before I posted it, so it's time to get editing that, and it should be up before Christmas. And while we're over here, I said I'd start with these guys, so let's start with them. These are my incredibly beautiful blue histrionica. They're both back there, just chilling. I love the blue that they display. This one is a lot different than the other one. I've heard that this color is actually called Columbia Blue, which might be where it gets its name. I don't know. For you artists out there, feel free to explain in the comments down below. But I love the like slate gray that this one displays on its kind of darker patches, where this one's much more of like a brown to like a browny gray, I guess. Their tank is doing fantastic. It's growing in. The moss is looking wicked. Orchids are starting to take over. Whatever this plant is has grown like a weed all over the place. It literally started from a little tiny seed down here and has gone gangbusters ever since. It's grown all the way up and over, and some people said it was like potato, which I don't think it is, but I guess maybe some of you horticulturalists or something could maybe help me with an identification. It would be nice to get this actually determined as to what it is. I know chances are I'll need an actual flower from it for that to be done. Overall, this tank is looking pretty stellar, and that's all I'm going to give you for now. If you guys are curious about this build, make sure you let me know in the comments down below, and that will motivate me to get it out even faster for all your faces. I suppose I'm just going to go rack by rack and show you guys all the way around the room. We have our beautiful cardinal here. She is a Thai bamboo rat snake, otherwise known as Oreocryptophis porphyraceus coxi. What a mouthful that is. But she is an absolute stunner. Doing very well. She likes cool temperatures, which is why she's here right by the front of the reptile room where the fan blows on her the most. And her tank is finally starting to come back. We had some thrips invade her tank and destroy a lot of the plants that were in there, but we found a beautiful pest strip that causes no harm to the snake and murders thrips like it's its only job, which it kind of is. It's doing fantastic. The tank's finally starting to come back now. And eventually, someday soon here, we will likely end up going to the grocery store and picking up, oh my God. We will likely end up going to the greenhouse and picking up some fresh plants for her and just giving her tank an entire makeover. We're actually going to be moving her tank around the room just to allow access to this 24-inch gap. Everywhere else is set up for like 12 by 18s or whatever, but that is the only place for the 18 by 18 by 24s or just 24-inch tall tanks in general, besides going up here, which you guys will see a bit later. And now moving our way across the rack here, we do have another custom tank built by me. It's some very strange dimensions. It's like 14.5 by 17 by 24 inches tall. Here we have my single male Ufaga Pumilio Bahia Grande, and we got some crazy plants. I don't see him right now, so he's probably chilling in that Brahm or something like that. But we do have some really cool plants in here that I was able to pick up from friends and from just local frogglers around me. This is actually an ant fern. So in nature, it would form a symbiotic relationship with ants. They would live basically in that little, I don't know what you'd call it, whether it's a caudex or if it's kind of like its rhizome. I'm not really sure. Some plant nerds can let me know in the comments. But this tank is doing quite well. I did a video where I kind of spruced it up. It was looking very decrepit, I would say. And now it's starting to come back to life with some nice greenery, tons of cool orchids like that one down there, this one up here, and various different mosses and whatnot. But like, look at that. That's a beautiful orchid flower spike there. I cannot remember the name of this one. I think this is Speclina grobii. Either way, the tank's doing great. Frogs are doing great. And now we can move on to the beautiful hognose rack that will soon be put into brumation. So as you guys know, this is the adult hog tower as well as king snakes at the bottom, and the hogs will be starting to go into brumation here in probably a couple of weeks. We've stopped feeding them. We're cycling them all. This is Callista here. She is a AAA, an Arctic albino anaconda. She's absolutely stunning. She produced some beautiful babies this year for us. All right, and just below Callista here, we have Rowan, our very one-of-a-kind girl. Here she is. Hi, do you want to come out and play? So believe it or not, this is a reverse stripe anaconda head albino. Rowan is Bree's very first snake, technically one of the oldest in the room, in terms of snake-wise at least. Obviously, she did not always look like this. She truly is a one-of-a-kind hognose snake, and we have no idea what it is, whether it's genetic, whether it's vitiligo, what it is, we have no clue. But either way, she's just as special to us, whether she looks normal or looks like this crazy pattern. And if you guys are wanting a little bit more of a comprehensive video on the hognoses, when they go down into brumation, I'll be having Bree show you guys all of them, just so you guys have an idea of our breeding plans, as well as just seeing the vast majority of the hognoses that we have. And now just below her, we have one of our other dirt monkeys here. This is Equinox. She is an Arctic lavender. She, again, was one of those incredible producers for us this year. We love her very, very much. She's probably our biggest, maybe our second biggest female hog. Yeah, unfortunately, while she was a great breeder for us this year, she was also a terrible mother. So she ate probably about 60% of her eggs. I guess she was hungry, and we waited like 2 hours too long. It is what it is in the biz. We will be showing you all these guys right before they go into brumation, because showing you them after brumation, actually they'll all kind of look like what she does right now. covered in dirt. But despite all of the challenges we had with her this year, she's still one of my personal favorites. I don't think she's one of Bree's because of the egg situation, but she's definitely one of mine. I love lavender hognoses. And just below Equinox, we have Sugarcane, who is currently in the same state as Equinox. These guys are getting colder. We've downed their basking temps. We've stopped feeding them. And now they're just ready for brumation. So they're all chilling in their humid hides. She does have some of the sassiest personality of all the hognoses that we have. Not really much else to say about her other than she is the biggest hognose that we have as well. She's around 350 grams or so, about 3 feet long, and full of piss and vinegar. She's typical hognose. She never really bites, but she definitely puts up a nice show for the camera and then calmly takes her rodent when it's feeding time. So she's doing fantastic. Very much looking forward to what we can do with her next year, and you guys will hear about that another time. Just below Sugarcane, we have our smallest female hognose. This is our beautiful girl, Horizon. She is another soft spot of hognose morphs for me. She is a sunburst, so a sable albino. Beautiful eyes, the oranges, the like pinks. I don't even know what else. I guess there's like almost some white flecking in there. You know, everybody knocks, including myself, on like morph games and whatnot, but come on. Like, how can you be upset when somebody shows you a snake that literally looks like a creamsicle? We love her to bits. This was her first year producing. She had some complications. She decided to make an egg that was like an entire 1/10 of her body weight and couldn't push it out. So some medical intervention was necessary, and she was actually able to get it out naturally for the most part. No surgery or anything was needed, but definitely some help on Bree's end to get that egg out of there because she was definitely causing some trouble and had us very worried. That also tickles so much. She was the one that we didn't intend on laying a second clutch, but she had other plans and decided to lay a second clutch anyway. So all of that said, she's still growing great. She put on her weight right away, and she's back and ready for brumation this year. Is somebody begging for food? Hi, love you, bye. So this right here, somebody you've definitely seen before. This is Scoria, Bree's very first gray-banded king snake, and we think she's actually up to weight to produce this year. So we will be putting her into brumation, whether or not we breed her or not, just because they do like the cooler temperatures, and they're funny. Like the hognoses during brumation basically go, I was gonna say lifeless, but that's not really the proper term. Like they truly go into a brumation where they are like hunker down for the winter type vibes, where she and all the other king snakes, to be honest, even my Arizona mountain king snakes, they hunker down, but they are still active. They'll still drink. They're still putzing around. Like they are used to these cooler temperatures. And it's kind of crazy to see the difference between these guys, one American colubrid, and the hognoses, another American colubrid. These guys are fantastic. As you can tell, she's very chill right now and just coming to explore my knee, I guess. I appreciate your love, but unfortunately, that is not what we had on the recipe for today. As you'll see later on when I show you the rest of the Alterna, she really loves just that classic, I guess, Lamprepeltis alterna or gray-banded king snake look. Not the crazy localities that are like all gray with some black dots or anything like that. And here's the last troublemaker of this rack. This is my very first snake ever. This is Mr. Saguaro, the Arizona mountain king snake, otherwise known as the Lamprepeltis pyromellana. And he's specifically the wooden eye. I don't know if that's a thing anymore or not. I couldn't have asked for a better pet snake to start off with. I definitely, for future plans, do not want him living in a bin all the time. As we go through the renovations in the room and as we look for a house here in Ontario, this kind of setup will be changing dramatically. I would like him in a much more naturalistic type environment where he can explore and use the rock crevices and kind of wood, bark, etc. as he would in the wild. The reason why his name is saguaro is, hopefully it's kind of obvious, but yes, there are tons of saguaro cactuses in Arizona, and my parents actually have a house there, so I spent many a time in Arizona when I was a child, and I actually went back this summer with some of my good friends from out here. Always a place I love to visit hang out, and I'm hoping to go back again in 2025. If you guys are in Arizona and know where to find these guys, hit me up. I would love to see these guys in the wild. Maybe even do a little bit of a video of kind of their naturalistic habitat and their conditions, and then I'll mimic that in a tank and see how I can compare. And now it's the point of the video where I'm going to thank Reolink for sponsoring. Reolink is a security camera company that offers a range of smart, user-friendly, and cutting-edge security cameras to make your house feel like a home. Not only that, but they also make it possible to see the lives of your pets while you're not in the room. Because believe it or not, us staring through the glass like this definitely puts the animals in a different state of mind, whether it's food, fear, or friendship. Their activities will be altered with you around. I recently got my hands on the new Argus 4 Pro, which offers an insane array of really cool features like 4K Ultra HD, seamless 180-degree video. This new camera allows you to see wall to wall with no seams in the middle. In addition to the crispy 4K video, there is also something called all-day color vision, which really uses the camera sensors to bring in all the possible light and give you colored footage even though it's dark outside. And just like all cameras that are meant to be used outside, it is also waterproof. Just make sure all the flaps are closed around the camera and check it out. Waterproof, baby. It's also Wi-Fi 6 enabled, which will allow you to stream 4K video much smoother. And in my opinion, the most crazy feature is honestly the ease of mounting. As you can see, it mounts perfectly to the rack. You can mount it to walls, you can mount it to tanks, you can mount it everywhere. The Reolink app is incredible, super user-friendly, and makes adding cameras to your profile extremely easy. It is literally unbox, click a button, tap a few things on your phone, and you're ready to go. But that's not all the app does. The app actually allows you to film time lapses in it. So if you want to upgrade your security and make your house feel like a home, definitely take advantage of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals happening now, and then extend it even into the holidays. It is one heck of a savings of up to 43% on your order, and you can do so by clicking the link down below. And it kind of goes without saying, but I did want to mention a huge thank you to Reolink for sponsoring this video and allowing me to unlock the secret life of my pets. The bottom of this rack here, which is right next to the adult rack, it houses pretty much all of our Chahoua, my Tachydromus, and some of the biggest goofballs in the room. These are the beaded geckos, otherwise known as Lucasium damium. Excuse me. Hello. Chances are if you guys watch my channel, you also watch Dion from Reptiliatus. He has popularized the Stenodactylus, which are like the Middle Eastern version of these guys, I like to add. So they're about the same size, maybe 4 inches, tip of the head to tip of the tail. The females are slightly bigger than the males, though not by much. They truly are like the Australian counterpart of those guys. Now, unfortunately, these guys are not $18 wild caught like the Stenodactylus are. These guys are much more expensive, and because they're from Australia, they are all also captive bred, which is very nice, to be honest. If you guys have watched some of the previous episodes of the Reptile Room Tour files, you guys will know that we had an earless dragon in here, a Tympanocryptis centralis. His name was Reggie, and unfortunately, he had to go. He was starting to bully these guys. While we saw no signs for the first year and a half we had them, all of a sudden, he just started chasing them around and like nipping at their tails. He is now living with Kayla Roach.
Quick update on Reggie. He is doing amazing, eating like a champ, super active, handsome, you know, all the good things. Oh, there you go. What did I say? Eating like a champ. This is his quarantine setup. So it's pretty simple. Nice hide, some driftwood, water dish, but this is what's coming his way. I've started collecting a bunch of supplies for his long-term home. So here's a little sneak peek.
As you guys know, Kayla takes incredible care of her reptiles, and we couldn't be happier that Reggie went to such a good home. These guys will be getting their new tank pretty soon. After 3.5 months of traveling straight, we're finally having some weekends at home now, so projects are getting done, they're getting actioned, and I can finally stop saying, oh yeah, we're gonna do this next month. Yeah, we're gonna do this someday. We can actually say that we're doing it. So there will be a video on the new build for these guys. It's a 24x18x18 Exoterra with another universal rock background, just like the one you see here. And I cannot wait to show you guys that. These guys deserve every inch of space. They do use all of the space. While they're not all that active during the day, they are quite active at night. These are my Geomyda spangleri, otherwise known as the Vietnamese black-breasted leaf turtle. This is my female. I know I ask you guys in every single reptile room tour to name them, but to be honest, I haven't received too many name suggestions, so please let me know in the comments down below what you think I should name these guys. There was a couple that were kind of promising, but being that I forgot them already, I guess not memorable enough? I don't know. Maybe I'll scroll through and see if I can find some names that I like and do like a community post about naming these guys or something along those lines. Anyways, if you guys would like to know why they're called a black-breasted leaf turtle, this is why. I know, honey, I know. This is why. The plastron is completely black with those beautiful tan, kind of yellowy sides, but I know you hate being manhandled, so I will let you down nice and gently. She is doing fantastic. She actually laid a clutch of eggs this year. Unfortunately, they didn't hatch. I still actually have it incubating, I guess. I know it's not good, but you know, the egg hasn't molded over and it's still doing well. So worst case, maybe I can like preserve it. Something that we experimented with this year is actually pairing the male, who's over here and has already trampled through all of his water and everything. Look at him. He knows. He's like, I'm a little disturber. A little disturber, if you know what I'm saying. We let him have some fun. He actually did successfully pair with the female. Now, I was talking to my good friend, again, Dion, who has a horde of these guys. He mentioned that there are some people suggesting that you could actually pair these guys just before they go down to brumation, which for me will probably be in the next, like, 3-ish weeks, and then brumate them, and then just after brumating, they'll come out, she'll eat some, and then lay eggs. Apparently, that leads to successful offspring. I'm really hoping that doesn't backfire, but I guess I'll be able to test that for Dion, worst case. Hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing bad happens. But yes, you, sir, are the biggest troublemaker of the land, and you know it. Why are you looking at the camera like that? That is really, really creepy, dude. What? Let me wipe off my lenses. I need some focusing on this bad boy. Here, do you need a smaller finger to chomp? Do it. Oh, dang. Not gonna lie, that actually hurt a lot more than I expected it to. Not that it hurt a lot, but that was a good clamp. Not gonna lie. And now that we've covered the bottom part of this rack, we can cover the top. Up here we have a single male Boega nigriceps, otherwise known as a black-headed cat snake, a green-headed cat snake. What else are they called? A dark-headed cat snake. Tons of different names for these guys. Bree has actually sold our female, though we do have one more clutch incubating. The weekend before we shipped her down to the US, she actually did end up laying a clutch of eggs, all of which look fantastic. And so we will have more baby Boega later on this year. We actually do have one currently. So yeah, you guys will be seeing that a little bit later. Of course, he's not out right now. And then moving from the Boega just to the left here, we have a pair of Chahoua. I guess I'm not going to spend all that much time on them because we will see a ton of Chahoua later on in this video. And continuing with the lack of Chahoua, in here we have one of our holdback males that were growing up. And once again, not out. So, I lied. Hi, buddy. He's like, do not get me on camera. I will run. He's amongst the shyer of our Chahuas. And even though he's a little bit skittish in the enclosure, once you get him out, he tames down just totally fine. And now that is kind of one of the main, I guess, complaints that I hear about Chahuas. They can be kind of moody, but people are comparing them to crested geckos, which are like the mindless goofballs of the reptile world, where these guys actually have some like thought behind them. They're not as jumpy. They're not gonna fly off your hand. As you're raising them up, you might have a little bit of a sassy one or something like that, but either way, they make for incredible pets. And we'll talk about them a little bit more when you can actually see them down here. But we do have one more tank to finish off up top here. In here, this is a 12 by 12 by 18 Exoterra. We have a horde of lesbians, as my good friend Logan calls them. If you don't know what a lesbian is, it is a parthenogenetic gecko, which are the mourning geckos. Their scientific name is Lepidodactylus lugubris. They're quite a cryptic species. They're invasive all over the world, and I did actually write out an entire script for a really cool video with these guys, so I might end up acting on that sometime probably in the new year. These guys need a bit of a larger cage. I'll upgrade them all, and I'll make that video for you guys. One of, and probably most prolific geckos that we have in the reptile room, actually by far the most prolific reptile we have in the reptile room. If you guys can't see, there's 2 eggs there, there's like 4 eggs on the front glass, and I'm gonna try and snipe this for you. There is like 30 eggs all along the back. It's filled up the cork tubes up the front. They're everywhere. So unless you want 300 geckos, don't get mourning geckos. They will overpopulate. I suppose now I can finally talk more about the Chahoua and why they're so cool. These guys are a very cryptic species, I would say. They do definitely utilize UVB. They need higher protein than crested geckos. They're a little bit less prolific, and by less, I mean quite substantially less. Like, we had 5 or 6 eggs from each of our females this year, and that is considered a lot for them. So just know, you're not going to be overpopulating. You'll be able to sell all the ones you produce, and they just make for a great beginner gecko. They're handleable, they're fairly large. In general, they're kept basically like crested geckos, but just with more calcium, protein, and we strongly recommend providing them with a source of UVB because they most certainly do use it. She's not in the UVB right now. The UVB is actually illuminating up front here, but regularly her and the male will be sitting on this branch, cricket basking or just outright basking sitting up here. It is necessary, I would say, for a Chahoua setup, and they do fantastic. In here is the beautiful Tachydromus dorsalis. Honestly, they are probably my favorite lizard in the reptile room. I know that's kind of a bad thing to do, is pick favorites, but truly these guys are just so special to me. I worked with them as a little kid, volunteering in pet stores, and I don't think they were dorsalis. I think they were actually the smaragdinus, who are these guys right here, but the dorsalis have my heart. They are so incredibly inquisitive. They're so cute. They are a more canopy-dwelling species. They are much more outgoing than all the rest of the Tachydromus. They're easy to handle, tameable. I don't know how many other words I can say to describe how I feel about them, but honestly, they're just the best. These guys specifically love when the ficus grows against the top of the ceiling, and I kind of hate it because we get stuff like that with like leaves growing through the top, and sometimes it can actually like bend the screen. They are active all day, running around their enclosure, hunting, picking up isopods out of the leaf litter. They're just so freaking cool. That's Matcha and Turok. Next to them are another species of Tachydromus. These guys are Tachydromus smaragdinus. So these guys are very cool. That is an adult female right there, about 5 or 6 years old, somewhere around there. And they can tell she's not taking her eye off the camera. She's like, there might be food coming. I don't know. Can't tell. They're just so acrobatic. They're so cool to watch. And what's cool about these guys is the male is actually sexually dichromatic. So you can see the female right here, all green, kind of the white stripe down the side. The male, he has a beautiful kind of reddish brown or just brown lateral line going down his entire body. They're very similar sized, no real other way to tell them apart, but they are sexable from birth, which is fantastic because after you have a few babies, which these guys produce plenty of, you'll be able to tell the difference between a male at birth and, where is she? And a female. Whereas the Tachydromus dorsalis that you guys just saw right next door are not sexable from birth. Oh, hi. Hi, Matcha. How are you? You're out and about. I disturbed you from your palatial estate, hey? Sorry. So inquisitive, so cute, so cool. Sorry, I could talk about them forever. So when I'm selling babies of these guys, which I do actually have available right now, They are completely unsexed. It takes about 1.5-ish, maybe even 2 years to reliably tell. Obviously, it depends on how much you're feeding them and how fast they're growing, but I would say anywhere between, probably realistically, 1 year and 1.5 years will give you a good idea, but that's only if you're familiar with them. The pair that we have here, I've had for about 2 years, somewhere around there. They're from Matcha and a male that I had previously that is no longer with us. So they are half related on the other side, on the female side, not on the male side. And next to the Tachydromus, we have the Scaphiophrine marmorata, otherwise known as the beautiful marbled rain frog from you-know-where, Madagascar. That's not them, obviously. That's a plant that was stuck to the ceiling and now I took down and is now in my way. But these guys actually aren't out. So realistically, that's probably about as much excitement as you're going to get for this portion. They are incredibly cute. One of Bree's favorites in the room. She loves these like stupid looking frogs. I don't know how you could love these guys versus these guys. But I guess that just speaks to Bree's mentality. I don't know. Is what it is. Maybe we can interview her about it someday. Really don't have much else to say about them because they're not out. We have Gumby and Globby here. That is their real names. I know I always mess around and call them stupid names, but that is their actual real names given by Bree. They have been a headache for us, if I'm just being honest. They were diagnosed with some strongyloides, which are basically a parasite that can live in the environment. So that is why you see them in the enclosure that they are in currently. We have treated them. They're due to be their second round of treatment in about 1.5 weeks from now. And then after that, hopefully they will be good. We will be replacing this piece of wood, getting that out of here for the second treatment, and probably just using like PVC tubes or something along those lines so that those can be sanitized in between treatments and provides no risk for reinfection. That is kind of the only way to get rid of these things, is to really mitigate the chances of being reinfected. So they are on the mend. As you can see, it's not like they're really showing signs of parasites because they're freaking round, boy. A lot has been going on with those guys. Now we get to move over to, I guess, the last like large rack in the reptile room. And that is this one here. This houses all of the Tachydromus babies, now a rat snake, frogs, and fish geckos, plus some more things that you guys are about to see. Unfortunately, I have some really bad news, and I feel like that's all I've been sharing, and I'm well aware of that, but I think I'm going to make a video about it. Besides this one, I don't want to ramble for too long on this video. Sheldon has passed away. If you guys want some details, you can go over to my Instagram. I do have a post there just recently. He passed away at the very end of September, and totally unexpected. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get a necropsy just because it is extremely destructive. I can't remember the actual like term for it. I know there's a real term for it, but I want to get him preserved and ideally put in like a display case. I don't know how to put it into words. I just have a specific like preservation method that I would like. Basically, you clean all the flesh off and whatnot, and you kind of place him as he would be naturally, like standing in kind of a naturalistic background. I'm sure it will cost hundreds of dollars, but I think for my special man, that is worth it. I'm gonna stop rambling now because I will cry, and let's get back over here. You guys can wait for another video if you want to see it. It'll just be kind of being honest about this year and all the crap that has happened. I think it would be kind of nice to vent, and hopefully the internet is nice back to me, but it's been a pretty crazy year. So I guess you now know the situation with Sheldon. I haven't had the strength, I guess, to clean out his tub just yet, but that is actually where we're planning on putting the rat snake tank. So moving that tank over here, because again, it's low on the ground, it should be pretty cool. And then we'll have a ton of extra space on that rack to put other things like the 18, 24-inch terrariums. We can move over to my little demon man, who desperately needs an upgrade, and that will be, I guess, one of the main priorities now. This is my Liasis savuensis, otherwise known as my Savu python, and he is a Spitfire. His name is Ender. The last few days I've actually had him out because he flies out at me, and then once you get him out, he's totally fine. It's just in his enclosure. He is an absolute nightmare. Uh-oh. Is that his eyeball? Come on, you had it. There we go. That is absolutely terrifying. I am well within strike range, and he will not hesitate to tag me. Honestly, if it wasn't for these guys' fairly defensive demeanor, they would make for one heck of a beginner python. They're small. Like, this is a 3 or a 4-year-old male, and he's maybe 2.5 feet long. Like, he is very small. Not that you can really tell, but I mean, yeah, he's not a big snake. He's got big attitude, but he's not a big snake. These guys are truly, if you want something that's kind of understated, not necessarily incredible colors by any means, but a very cool species of python that is definitely holdable once you get them out. Savu pythons are fantastic. Someday, I would love to get a female from my buddy Cody, who produced this male. I would like to get a silver, because, you know, just different flavors of Savu python. And I know I'll get questions as to why there's plastic wrap in there. It was actually tied up to the top. However, he managed to wiggle himself in there, and now I just don't want to seal it off so he doesn't get stuck in the plastic wrap. It just helps with a lot of humidity and whatnot. So it's a functional piece of eyesore. Okay, now right next to the Savu, we have one of the last bin frogs in the entire collection, actually. He's not out. This is a spare male blue histrionica. Bin's doing great. He's doing great, eating like a champ. He is a male. I have definitely heard him calling before. So I guess we'll see if the other pair is a pair. And if I have 3 males, I will be having to talk to Ivan and trying to get a female for my males. So yeah, that's him. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's basically an empty bin that you're staring at. Moving up from the blue histo, we have another dart frog here. This is Ufaga Pumilio bastimentos. This is the gold dust or cemetery. The female is somewhere in here. She hides so well in this fairly small tank. I have no idea where she goes, but every feeding time I see her come out and hang out, and then in between feeding times, she's gone. Completely gone. One thing that is definitely worth showing you is these incredible blooms. There's a gesnerid in this tank that blooms typically around this time, fall every year, and normally it only shoots out a few flowers, but this time it has been blooming for a good solid 1.5 or 2 months, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not complaining, because in a tank where I don't always see the frogs, it's really nice to come in here and be able to enjoy the plants that I planted and know that they're doing well in this environment. And look at that. It kind of looks like an unnamed substance, but not with those flowers, though. Not with those flowers. Right next to those guys, we have a bin full of just plants. This is basically just like a grow out tank for any froglets that we may find. Nothing in there currently. And next to them, this is a tank you guys don't get to see very often, because normally it is stationed in Bree's room and it actually sits on her desk. So these are Aranitomea vanzolini, and this is another custom tank that I built for Bree. But these guys love to hide. Typical Aranitomea fashion. They are not out right now, but I mean, the tank is looking pretty good. A full moss background. Desperately needs to be trimmed. But yeah, normally we do a couple kind of chop backs in here and really spruce things up maybe 2 or 3 times a year. That Peperomia marginella is growing as it does, like a weed, and is really creating the effect that I was going for, like kind of cascading over the different logs and whatnot. And I love that look. I know it's not for everybody, but me personally, big fan. Big fan. Moving on from the dart frogs of the room, in these 3 tanks here, we have some of the coolest geckos, especially on Instagram's opinions, because Bree absolutely loves them. Unfortunately, none of them are out right now. However, there is this little baby right here. Hello, beautiful child. So this is Gecko lepus, otherwise known as a fish scale gecko. We don't know exactly what species these are because they came in as two different species, Gecko lepus maculata and Gecko lepus typica. However, we don't know which one is which because they are almost impossible to tell. I've contacted researchers, I've talked to friends, I've gone out of my way to try and figure out what species these are. And unfortunately, we're just going to need to take the time to actually take photos of their chin and determine based on scalation. These guys are called fish scale geckos, and like fish scales, if you touch them, they become raw chicken. They shed their scales extremely easily, and then it leaves them looking like raw chicken, like a straight up raw chicken breast. It's kind of gross, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. I'm not sure what his goal is right now, but you know, he looks cute, so I guess we'll... Oh, look at that iridescence. That's what's so nice about these guys. Look how iridescent they are. Look, they almost look blue from this angle. Holy crap. The babies do seem to have a little bit more iridescence for sure. If you guys want to learn more about them, as we keep them, as we produce them, I would love to make a little bit more content about these guys because they were actually a very common wild-caught gecko back in the day, but they have become much more rare and thus much more expensive. When I was working in pet stores, we would get these guys in and they would be like $20. We paid significantly more than that. So this is like a weird show and tell, but this is one of the sheds off Doughy, which is by far the largest one that we have. And I don't know how to explain it. It truly feels like you're touching nothing. It definitely doesn't feel like gecko or snake shed or anything you've really ever touched before. It's almost like a feather. That's what it feels like. So it is super strange, and we kept this just for our friends to be able to come over and like touch and just be amazed as well. So I will put this back in its designated drawer, and we will continue with the Tachydromus and whatnot up top here. Starting with the pair that I've been raising up, I do know that they are in fact a pair. We did actually post these guys for sale on Morph Market, and we had a specific individual, I don't actually know who, but somebody came up and was like, those are both males 100%. Well, sure enough, it is actually a male and a female, so suck it, whoever you were. These guys are even more tame than the adults, as you guys can see. Oh God, okay. Well, that was a good demonstration of it. I don't really want this right now. I only have one hand, and I cannot have two geckos on me, or two lizards on me. Go back. Go back. Thank you. Thank you. These guys are from, like I mentioned earlier, Matcha and the unnamed male. So that is great. And then we have my old sweet Midori in here. Midori, I think, is slowly coming to a geriatric end, I suppose. I don't know how bad that sounds. I mean it in the sweetest of ways. But I got Midori as like a 9 or 10-year-old female. Actually, I think she was older than that. Pretty sure like 10 or 11-year-old female. And producing as many eggs as they do definitely are hard on them. So she's starting to lose a little bit of mobility in her back legs. She's still eating great. She still gets around just fine, but just not all the spark that she used to be. I'll be keeping an eye on her mannerisms, her activity levels, her food consumption, etc. I'll just be monitoring her, and when the time comes, I will do what needs to be done, I suppose. Saying it as cryptically as I possibly can. And that is when my camera died. So we left off at Midori here. It is a new day, but the same outfit for continuity, even though I'm telling you that it's a new day, so it doesn't really matter. But we got a different drink today. It's a Monster. It's time to get locked and loaded for the rest of this reptile room tour. We're most of the way done at this point, but cheers to you, Monster. Please send me some Monster. I would love you more, and I drink you far too often, so oh boy. Anyway, let's go. And we're straight on to these beautiful little guys right here. These are the baby Tachydromus dorsalis. You can see one chilling at the back there. And then we got a few more putzing around the enclosure. I'm not going to spend a ton of time lingering on the tackies because, as you guys already know, they are my absolute favorite, and I love them to pieces. If you are interested in Tachydromus dorsalis or Tachydromus smaragdinus, we have pairs available of the smaragdinus and unsexed babies of the beautiful Tachydromus dorsalis. Let us know, Instagram, email, where else do we have these guys? We don't have them on the website, but we will have some on Morph Market as well, so you guys can check there. But yeah, that's what we're looking like. So in here, as I mentioned, obviously, Tachydromus smaragdinus. That's a male, that's a female, that's a little baby. Hello. Hello, little guy. These guys are hungry, so they're about to get fed. That's all I really have to say about these guys. You guys have seen the entire lane's worth of Tachydromus, so I don't need to talk about them more right now. Bree's over here. You might hear in the background. She's redoing one of the Chahoua tanks. Uh-oh, is that a fake plant, Bree?
Yeah, I can't get anything to grow in that top corner.
Yeah, true.
Hidden up.
That top corner is just the void. Now, moving down over here, this is actually Caspian. Caspian is our baby Gonyosoma oxycephalum, captive bred by Ashley Dezan, otherwise known as Northern Lights Reptile Imports, here in Canada. So this is just basically an empty enclosure at the moment. We know he's still in here because he came out and shed. Food also disappears, so it's basically just a pet hole or a pet tank at this point. We put food in, it disappears. Obviously, it's a fairly fresh tank, so the plants still have to grow in, and he's getting acclimated. So by the time the plants grow in, he'll be acclimated, and yeah, no problem there. So I'm not going to spend any more time talking about him because we will talk about her over here, and that will be coming in a few moments. What was that? Get back here. Burglar. As we are moving around in a circle around the room, we have come to the wood stack that will actually soon be changing because we're going to be rearranging things a little bit. We're going to be moving Hugo and Gertie down one and moving Mr. Indy up one. So yeah, that's going to be the plan there. If you guys haven't heard, Mayaki did pass away a few months ago. Actually, I put him down a few months ago. His gout got really bad. I'm not going to go into it. I've already been sad enough in this video, but yeah, that tank will be being redone actually very soon. You guys should see it in probably 2 weeks or so, and that will be coming out for your faces for something to fill that void. Yeah, I'm not going to talk any more about it because you'll see that video. Up here, we have my beautiful boy Hugo. He is about a 15-ish year old Uromastyx, might be slightly older. And Gertie, who I don't currently see, Gertie is a baby Uromastyx that was gifted to us by my friend Darren. Fantastic dude. Unfortunately, I think Gertie is actually a male, but we have yet to be proven that. So until that time, they will remain together, or when Gertie starts getting older and actually maturing, then we'll definitely be sure to separate him. I will probably rehome him, but it'll depend on our homing situation. If I can house him, I'll keep him forever. He's doing great. Hopefully he's not slowing down anytime soon. Still super chill. Very good man. Him and Gertie are hilarious together. I don't have it on camera because I never have my camera just sitting in the room, but regularly Gertie will like ride on top of him and just hang out. I'm not sure why he's choosing to sit in his food dish right now, but to each their own, I suppose. Their tank is a 4x2x2 custom-built wood enclosure by Hammer Habitats. He's built many of the enclosures here in the Jungle Vault. It's holding up well. It works really well for the Uromastyx because they are a very dry, arid species that just uses like a humid box if they need some humidity. We do have some issues with rotting out for Indy here, but that will be solved. We're probably going to put a pond liner in here or seal it with like dry lock or something like that just to mitigate any further degradation. That will be not a project that you guys see, though. It'll just be, you know, a quick reno on his tank. Hi, buddy. Nice of you to come say hi. For now, we can move down to Mr. Indy. Hello. Do you want to come out? Indy is one of Bree's first reptiles that she actually still has. She did have like a leopard gecko and a few other things back in the day, but Indy is one of the constants in the reptile room here. He is big chillin' in his enclosure. Again, 4x2x2 custom wood habitat. There is actually a thermostat that controls the heating in this tank. Because he was sandwiched between the Aki and these guys, his heat really never turned on before, but now that it's just the enclosure above him with heat, his heat turns on much more regularly. They all do have UVB and basking bulbs, as you can see, but that is Indy being a shy little potato. Indy's chilling there, and now we can move on to the middle rack here with our arsenal of spray bottles and a beautiful Gonyosoma oxycephalum Borneo locale. This is Kalea here. She is hungry because she got skipped a week of feeding, so I am definitely in the danger zone at this moment, but it is well worth it for that shot. Oh. Hello. No, Bree's trying to get her to come out. I don't appreciate this. Not fair. Bree's getting her all, oh boy. It's so deceiving on camera how close they actually are. Uh-oh.
Target acquired.
You can see, these guys are called red-tailed rat snakes, but she has very clearly like a slate blue gray tail. So the Borneo locale for these guys are incredibly variable. She is originally an import from a breeder in Russia. So from the Russian line of the Borneo locale, there's really only like 4 that we know of. We have 2, our friend has 1, and then another friend in the US has 1 as well. Obviously those numbers can't be 100% true, or probably aren't 100% true. If you guys have any idea how far out the tank she is, there you go. So now that she's been contained behind the glass doors, she will be getting put in this 4x2x4 that we will be doing up hopefully this winter. Yeah, so it's going to be a huge project. It is Bree's project, so I'm waiting for her to give me the green light, but I will help her out with it, obviously. Yeah, we're very excited to get that started, and it would be really nice to have her out of here and then into there. Much more space, obviously. It'll be all live plants and such, kind of like it is here, but much cooler, way bigger logs, and just like a little mini slice of nature in there for her. I'm not going to be a broken record about that tank. And the other enclosure that is on top of the 4x2x4 is the Sonora occipitalis. They change it every week, I swear, but also known as the Western shovel-nosed snakes, and you can see a wild tail right there. He's actually just chilling in behind some of the rocks, but I'm not going to disturb him too much, so I'll put that back. Bree decided to go in and, you know, ruin their feng shui, but I appreciate it because, look, now you guys get to see them.
And she's angry.
Yeah, she's always angry. These guys are out actually quite frequently. We see them a lot more than I expected to be totally honest. That's the female zipping away right there, and the male, yeah, the male is pretty chill overall. But the female is definitely a little bit of a hissy pants. These guys are probably, now this is a bold statement, probably one of the coolest beginner snakes possible. Despite the, you know, slight attitude problems, they eat crickets, they are small, they enjoy desert climates or desert-like climates. So realistically, for a beginner, you don't have to worry too much about humidity. They eat crickets, so you don't have to convince your parents to, you know, keep frozen mice in the freezer. They're just overall a very, very cool species. Because of that, Bree is absolutely obsessed with them and has since got several more just on the other side of the rack here. We have 3 in here. I would say these are quarantine, but they're not. They're in our room. So, like, they're basically on like a starter setup. So what we do is we basically start them in a bin, make sure they're eating, make sure they're shedding, make sure they're doing well. And then once they're all established in bins like this, then we move them to a much more naturalistic desert-like habitat as you see here. So this is actually a different species. These are the ground snakes, otherwise known as the Sonora episcopa. Of course, these two aren't out right now either. It is getting towards evening time, and that's typically when they're more active, but we do have them in 8x8x8 cube ReptiZoo enclosures, and I gotta say, the ReptiZoo enclosures for these guys are like perfect because you don't have to worry about them escaping. These guys are absolute escape artists. We see Mr. Ho here, who is our baby captive hatched that we've had for, I guess, what, 2 years now? Something along those lines. He basically will like push on every corner and every gap. He knows this is a door. That's where we kind of feed them through and then also pour water in as well. They are incredibly inquisitive and I would say smart, especially for a snake. Like, I've never seen a snake do that before. I know it's pretty common when they settle in that, you know, okay, they're going to be inquisitive. They're going to be zipping around the tank and having a whole bunch of different things to do and a new environment to explore. But once they settle in, normally they settle in. These guys are not that way. They're very active. This is just some random, like, hilarious, hey, this is on Amazon for $50, why don't we pick it up? And it's actually worked really, really well. So if you guys are interested in this, I'll try and find the enclosure on Amazon and leave a link down below. It would be an affiliate link, but yeah, just go check it out. Anyways, we'll continue with this rack here, skipping over the baby hognose rack. Anyway, in here we have the Diplodactylus galeatus, otherwise known as the helmeted geckos. These guys, again, are an incredible species from Australia, and I need to get one to be, you know what? I'll bribe them with crickets. Let's do that. Crickets have been acquired. Now we do the dump. There it is. Look at them. They're so cute. Again, as per the tradition with Australian geckos, absolutely miserable hunting skills. These guys are so bad, but they are so cute. Oh, I love them so much. They're actually a little bit more chill than the Damium. You can actually hold them and hang out with them if that's something that you're into. We basically leave them alone and just, you know, feed them and enjoy them when we can. They are nocturnal, so they're out pretty much all night wandering around the enclosure. Oh, you got a leg. Good effort, little man. Good effort. But if you guys are wondering, this is a 12 by 12 by 12 Exoterra, and they will be getting upgraded to the 18 by 18 by 12 Exo as well. Once those guys move out, these guys will move in. So I will let them go on their fairy tale ways. I don't know if you guys want to see them. I do have a little stash of some vampire crabs. They have an extremely dense jungle for a bin. I haven't done a trimming in there in months, but they're doing well. I have 2 in there, and then I have several more down here, and those will be coming in a video, I would say probably in the new year, but it might be, you know, late December, that kind of deal, because I'd like to introduce them to you all and show you guys how cool they really are. That will be coming in the form of a vivarium build for them. And then the rest of these guys, up here we have some Urodactylodes symmetricus. These guys are the last of our Urodactylodes in here. Yeah, if you guys are interested, these guys are available. So if you want some heckin' good deals on symmetricus, if you want all 4, you got a great bulk price coming your way. So this is Mama Bear to all the baby Chahoua, or most of them at least. She's currently in the rack because Bree is finishing up her enclosure. I think she's taking her right now. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's watch her go back to her home.
There's a lot of stuff here. And she just, out she goes. Right to the back, blending in.
Yep, of course. All right, well, what a beautiful release. And because it is currently misting hour, you guys will actually get to see all of the baby Chahoua. So this is Jive. So you saw that was the mom that we showed you. He is very not fired up, like, whatsoever. You can see all the, like, peachy colors coming through, and the one that Bree is actually the brother, or one of the, you know, previous hatchlings from that pair. So I showed you guys him earlier in the video. Very, very beautiful. Now he'll slowly be getting more and more colorful as he fires up. But yeah, he was hatched in June. So, what, a 6-month-old-ish? Here we have a bit of a double header. These are 2 siblings, same clutch, hatched out in September. Nice white collar on them. Again, as babies, Chahouas are typically much less colorful than what they are as adults, or like kind of full peak coloration, which is typically around like 2 to 4-ish years. And then they start to dull out a little bit after that. I know even when I first moved here from Calgary, Brie was really my first introduction to Chahouas, and I couldn't tell. I was like, okay, yeah, that's a baby Chahoua, whatever. But now, when you see the pattern, when you see any inkling of color at this size, you know that this baby is about to be absolutely electric when it's a full-grown adult, because at this size, they really aren't all that colorful. They're definitely much more flighty as babies, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is, honestly. It's really not that big of a deal. Yeah, they chill out really quickly, but that one down there has a really nice like dorsal stripe down its back. It is a very, very colorful little baby, and it will only get more color as it ages. So it's like a fine wine. They age and they get better with age. So it's very, very cool. Don't even get Bree started about all the lychees and stuff, because not fans. And to hit you guys with another 2 Chahouas, we have 2 that were born in August, August 25th and August 22nd, respectively. Come here. There. No! Stay there for just 1 sec. I just want to show you off for a quick second, and then you can go back into your humble abode. All right? Relax. You can definitely tell that these guys are a little bit more rambunctious as babies. But hey, they just got energy to burn, you know? Who needs to grow when you can just zoom everywhere? I just noticed that this one has 2 really cool, like, black blotches kind of above its... I guess it's where it's like shoulders would be, essentially, right under the white collar. So that's actually really cool. I didn't notice that before. Yeah, this one is currently available. So for those of you looking to add a Chahoua to your life, which I highly recommend, I would keep these guys as just a pet, like producing them or not. They're so cool. We actually brought one into work today to trade for another one, and all of our coworkers were absolutely enthralled with them. And it was an adult, so it was a nice, impressive, large adult.
And calm.
And yeah, very calm. And the other one, I believe, is actually sold. So this is actually a direct sibling, the same clutch as the last one, and still just as zoomy. Stop zooming. Looks very similar. You guys get the picture. And he's got a need for speed, so I'm just gonna let him do his thing. I'll put back his wood, and I'll give him a quick mist. And then we'll move on to the next one. And finally, we have the 2 most recent babies who hatched in October 17th to be exact. Let them remain in their bins, especially whilst trying to man a camera. But you can see one is right there, blending in like perfectly with the cork. Excuse me. Hello, little friend. It's like, no, I refuse. Yep, there he goes. There's his little tail right in the dead center of your screen. And now the time has come for the final rack of the reptile room tour. And don't worry, I haven't forgot about Totoka. You guys will see him at the very end of the video. But right now, I'm going to go through all of the babies that we actually have available. So if you are interested, we do offer shipping. I don't think the exports are still going on to the US, but we do ship to the US. And those will resume in springtime. A lot of the babies, some of them still aren't eating reliably and we can't sell them in good conscience. And a lot of them are also holdbacks, like Mrs. Daiquiri here and, you know, Mr. Cabo here. Oh, hello. Cabo is very angry. He is a Mexican hognose, hence the name Cabo. But yes, he is a starving little man, even though he was fed 2 days ago.
He was fed yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was yesterday, you're right. He was fed yesterday. And then I guess another thing that we aren't, or that isn't up for sale just yet, is a little baby Boega. So cute. So freaking cute. With that being said, I'm going to strap you onto the tripod and we will get showing you guys some very cool hognoses that we have available. For all of them, I'm basically just going to say what they are and show you the snake. I'm not going to talk about each one. It'll be kind of a rapid fire round, but that's the way you guys will maximize seeing all of the snakes that you won't see in like the full brumation video where we go through pretty much all of them. So buckle up and let's get going. You guys like what I did there? I added a cupped plant for aesthetics. So first up here, we're going to show you guys an assortment of super Arctic het albino 50% het sables. This is number 6, just so you guys can reference it if you're actually interested in these guys. Very cool patterning, has actually had his sheds now, so now he's like actually white. And again, these are the exact same genes. This is number 7. Much more saddleback, like they're not individual dots on the back. They're more actual full blotches. And this here is number 8. Again, same genes, super Arctic, het albino, 50% het sable. Very pretty this one is. I like him a lot. And also the biggest by far of them all. Now we're keeping with the same genes here. This is number 5. Super Arctic het albino, 50% het sable. Again, these guys are very, very well started. This one will still likely, I think it's had 1 growth shed, but most of them have actually had 2 at this point. So they're starting to get even whiter. This one, I feel like, is one of the ones that hasn't had that 2nd growth shed yet. This is the last super Arctic that we have. This is an anaconda super Arctic. And then, you know, het albino, 50% het sable. He is stunning. Look at that striping down the back. Obviously very active. Again, obviously, with all of our animals for sale, a very good eater. I would say probably the nicest one. So this little worm right here is a sable het albino, hence the very dark coloration. You can obviously tell the sable influence. If you guys don't know, sable hognoses, as they age, get darker and darker. Some of them fade to almost purely black. Some of them still have quite a bit of color. They're extremely variable. But this guy right here is a stunner. I really love the saddlebacks. I don't like the twin spot look. This one has 2 twin spots at the very top of its head, and the rest are all saddles. To those of you that are like myself when it comes to the hognoses, you probably have no idea what you're looking at. And this is just an Arctic. So this is not the double expression of the gene. It's a single expression. You can tell how much of a difference it makes. It really just kind of makes them a little frosted around the top, around their mouth. And then sometimes, well, most times, they have kind of a darker outline around each saddle. It can be very hard to determine that they are Arctic, but this one is in fact an Arctic. And basically a ready-to-breed male. This is a Conda triple het albino frosted, which is triple het for albino, Dutch hypo, and caramel. This one has very unique coloration, almost more of like tan splotches on it rather than kind of the typical brown or like a red. A very good eater. This was a 2023 baby, not 2024, so very, very, very well started. Eats like a shark, and like I said, is almost a ready-to-breed male. So this is actually a sibling to the one you guys just saw. This is a wild type rather than a Conda. A little bit smaller because he took a little bit longer to get eating, but overall, still really nice reds. This is just a wild type or a normal triple het albino frosted. If you guys are working on projects, these are really powerhouse males. They're both males. So this here is Bree's favorite personality-wise of all the babies that we have. This is a wild type, very similar genes to the last ones, except instead of an albino, it's het lavender. So this is a normal het lavender frosted. Has that been made before? And now this is the sibling to the one I just showed you. This is a Conda, though, not a wild type. And again, very yellow coloration. I don't know how well it comes through on camera. Yep, that works pretty well. This one is definitely different looking. It's got a lot more yellow hues to it, which I really enjoy. I just love the variability of Condas, honestly. And now for honorable mention, I have to show you this. This is Daiquiri. This is one of our own hognoses that we will be keeping. and very likely might take a chomp out of me. So this is an Arctic sunburst, which is an Arctic albino sable. So pretty. And she is an absolute shark when it comes to eating. All right, just a quick diversion from all the colubrids for another colubrid. But one of the Episcopa is out. They're hard to get on camera. They're always out, but they are very shy. And I guess I'll show you guys the Mexican hognoses as well because they're so cute. Look at that. This is little cantinero. Very similar to the Western hog, but they are a different species. Very, very cool. And wrapping it up, like I said, with the king snakes here, we have Miss Cinder here. Like I mentioned way earlier at the very beginning of the video, Bree loves the super clean, nice pattern gray bands, and she has knocked it out of the park with these ones. Are you about to shed, buddy? You look like you're about to shed. It's like, well, maybe. If I feel like it. Don't need to reiterate. Just a stunning, beautiful example of the gray-banded king snakes. Look who shed. Miss Sedona here. She's still got the really nice pearly white stripes. Absolutely stunning. She's not old enough to breed yet, so we won't be producing the Arizona mountain king snakes this year, but we are hoping to do the gray bands. Where are you going? She's like, I want food. You guys haven't fed me for far too long. I will eat at no matter what temperature it is. And the final piece to this puzzle all comes down to the 4x2x4 we built for Mr. Totoka, the Fijian banded iguana. Brachylophus bula bula. Really, truly the perfect iguana. If you're in Canada and you're considering an iguana, you definitely need one of these. Green iguanas are not the way to go, especially in our climate. These guys stay small, are relatively inactive, especially for what you'd expect them to be. Most people expect them to be bouncing off the walls, but he might stay in that same position for 2 days. Like, with perfect temperatures in the enclosure, good misting, you know, great humidity, he will not move. He might go bask, he might not. That's why we do have some live plants in his enclosure. As you can tell, he's definitely smoked this hibiscus a little bit. He does have a particular taste for hibiscus now. We do have another plant to put in here, and then we're going to be loading the bottom with leaf litter again because Bree went through here and basically cleaned it all out. So it's time to reintroduce it. The best iguana to ever iguana. And that, my friends, does it for the Reptile Room tour of November 2024. There will be one coming probably mid to late December as well because there will be some changes happening very soon here and I'm very excited to share it with you all. So if you guys liked the video, make sure you smash that like button. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything of the sort, leave them in the comment section along with all the recommended comments that I asked throughout the video. I know there was plenty of them. There will also be a bunch of enclosure builds happening very soon, some of which are already done, like the one behind me, as well as many others that are going throughout this room. Those will be all posted to the channel in due time, probably a couple months from now, but click that subscribe button in the meantime, ding on the notification bell, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later.